I am the greatest tank on my team. I look down from above and rain fire from the sky. I'm not about precision. The card I play is collateral damage. Think you can hide behind a building? I'll take out the whole block. Think there's safety in numbers? I'll take you all out in one shot. People may tell you that the action is on the front lines, but you don't need to be up front when your weapon's range is the entire battlefield. So I will patiently wait until you have picked your perfect spot. Then dash your dreams, destroy your tank, and date your mother. I am artillery, and I'm the tank you love to hate.
Hey guys, it's Mr.BeetleBum, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the final class in the game. I've left him to the end, quite simply, because I don't really like him, and I don't think most players do like him. But we're talking about the artillery, the Arty, the SPGs, the bane of the game, the scourge of World of Tanks. Whatever you call it, doesn't matter. They're in the game. They're going to be in the game for a long time. Artillery are really known as glass cannons for a reason. They tend to have very little armor. There are a few of them that are well armored, but in general most of them have very little armor. And they're known because they're very unique. They are the only tank that can other tanks. They're the only tank that can shoot over buildings, over mountains, over hills, over obstacles, and still hit you. So they're pretty frustrating to a lot of new players. A lot of players actually get really upset and rage a lot about the artillery. That being said, once you start learning how the artillery work and their mechanics and whatnot, you can actually, stay Arty safe, so to say, meaning know when to move and move from cover to cover depending on what kind of tank you are, and where you should be on a map depending on what tank you are. But that's for them. Right now we're talking about the actual artillery tanks themselves. Most of them always have the highest damage gun for their tier, unless if you're talking like, the French tanks, for example, the French SPGs or Arty. They don't have the biggest damage, but they sure shoot fast. We've had all different kinds of French tanks just sit there and hit you, and then 2 seconds, it seems like 2 seconds later, boom, they're hitting you again. Now, just like some of the British SPGs, in the same way, they'll hit you often. They're not doing a lot of damage, but what they can do, though, if they're being played by a good player, is they can actually just sit there and keep tracking you. And that sometimes is even worse than doing damage, because when it already hits you, depending on whether it's a low roll or a high roll, it might do little damage or it might do a lot. But if they keep you tracked, especially if you're in the open, and they keep tracking you and tracking you and tracking you, well, it's not just their damage you have to worry about. Of course, you have to worry about the whole other team hitting you. So those tanks are actually pretty dangerous when played properly. And so it depends on if you're looking for big splash, if you're looking for just a track. Every country has their own unique artillery that are good for different things. Most artillery are going to always play at the back of the map for good reason. There are a few tanks out there, like those who have played for a while and you new players are going to come across the little artillery tank known as the Burt. This one can zip around at high speeds. It's pretty funny, actually, and because it's got a very, very, very low range, it has to kind of get up closer to the actual enemy before they can even shoot at them. So that one's fun to play, especially of how fast it is. I've actually did a merry-go-round around a building once, chasing a Burt in my Stug TD. And the funniest thing about it is I came around the corner thinking I was going to shoot him, and he had hit his brakes so quick I went flying right by him, and he had me right in front of him. And boom, he blew me up in one shot. It was pretty funny, I gotta admit. Kudos to him. He outplayed me in that role. But let's just say most of the time, when you're playing your SPGs, you're going to be at the very back. You're going to be using all your teammates for viewing, for spotting everything. And it doesn't matter if you're going after one tank or multiple tanks, you're able to stun them and you're able to do damage to everyone. Most SPGs do have splash. If you're doing missions or campaigns that you want to do stuns, I'd recommend that you go with either the Soviet line or else the American line, the M44. Tier 6 American SPG. That's what I did most of my campaigns with. Then the Soviet is, I'm thinking of going up to the Soviet line right now in SPG. And their Tier 7 is really good for doing the missions. At the beginning of the game, Arty, you simply want to find a place to hide in the back and sit there and just peg off as many different opponents as you can. It's really that simple, guys. There's not a lot to talk about when it comes to strategy. Find a place that's hidden away from the enemy and do as much damage as you can wherever your team is spotting. Always kill what they're spotting, or else they're just going to give up and just play for themselves and not try to do the spotting for you. Another thing, a lot of good players will sit there and go into God mode, which is your default mode, and sit there and just simply look at the back of the map and find you. Because how they find you is they'll simply, when you shoot, you'll see you won't see you, the tank, but what he will see is the actual streamer. I don't know, there's probably another word for it, but he'll actually see the missile coming out of your tank. And what the good tanker will do is simply take that spot and then aim behind it and shoot. And so many times Arty get blown up one shot in the dark where they weren't lit, and they start raging. Why? Because the guys are watching your streamers. So a lot of times, sometimes it's actually good just to shoot and then move away, especially from side to side, not necessarily back or forward, but side to side if you can. Sometimes with the terrain, you can't even do that because you got one spot to be in. But I'm just letting you know, that's a tip. Another tip is like I said, there's the default mode. There's also different, if you hit the G button, there's a different view. I wouldn't call it a God mode where you're looking straight down, but it's more like of an angled mode. I actually prefer that view. That view mode, I find it's easier to see whereabouts on the tank you're going to hit. Again, it's just simply hit G and you're good to go. That being said, the rolls are pretty good. They play behind the lines. Some of the tanks are, can actually get up there and brawl, but I don't recommend it at all. You want to try to stay hidden as much as possible, but then sometimes you have to go into what's called TD mode, and you just stay hidden and wait for a tank to come around the corner and blow them up in one shot. If not, you're pretty much hooped because they're just going to do the carousel around you and just fire you down until you're dead. That being said, guys, let's move ahead to the crew skills. Again, they're pretty simple too, but let's get at it. Alright guys, let's get into the crew skills. We're in the garage. We're looking at the American Tier 4 T82, only because I don't have any already other than the French premium one, and I wanted to show you one that had as many crew members as possible, so I simply just went and learned them and trained them and whatever and got one for this video. Alright, so let's get into it. It's going to be the usual thing where we're going to go through each of the crew members, we're going to go through the skills, and we're going to show you the first three that I would recommend. Guys, this is going to be really quick because it's really basic. To me, with all Arty, it's real simple. It's about concealment, believe it or not. As you might have seen in the video that I had showing, there was a couple times where the Arty actually was able to hide, even like in close proximity. Once, if you have, a lot of Artys will put on binocs and camo net. And if the camo net kicks in and you got concealment on all the crew members, you can actually hide on quite a few of these Artys. So I would always recommend, other than the commander, whose first skill is obviously going to be Sixth Sense, I would recommend every other one to go with concealment, and then it's crew specific for the second, and then the third is really always going to be either repairs or fire firefighting, depending on which one you feel like going with. And also on the commander, the third one might be signal boosting if you don't have a radio operator in your SPG. So that being said, let's go. We've got your commander. We're going to go with concealment. We're going to put that all the way up to 100%. Then we're going to come down and get 6 cents. And we all know why we need that. And once that's clicked on, we go back to concealment. We finish that. And then, like I was saying, if you don't have a radio operator, you want to go down to signal boosting, which extends your signal range. You're in the back, so now you need to extend your range. And if you have a radio operator, then go and pick either your choice of repairs or firefighting. Now we move on to the gunner. Again, concealment for your first one. Get that all the way up to 100%. And then what I would recommend is the Deadeye. Increases the chance to cause damage to enemy vehicle modules or crew, especially if you're going to be doing the missions and campaigns. That will come in really helpful. And then again, for your third one, guys, repairs or firefighting. You pick your choice. Now for driver, again, concealment to start with, and then preventative maintenance, simply because you want to help, reduce the amount of fires as possible. Besides, you don't really need controlled impact. You're not going to be flying around, so you don't need off-road driving or clutch braking or smooth ride. Some might say you do, but I go with preventative maintenance. And then for the third one, again, repairs or firefighting, depending on which one you prefer. Loader, concealment to start with, and then safe stowage. Again, trying to reduce the chance of fires happening if you get hit or splash damage. And then for your third one, back up to repairs and firefighting. If you do have a radio operator, your first one's going to be concealment. Your second one is going to be situational awareness. Darn it, I had a brain fart there. So anyways, your first one's going to be concealment. Your second one's going to be situational awareness. And yet again, for the third one, you pick firefighting or the repairs. And honestly, that's really about it. I would throw paint on, the camo paint, on the exterior, simply just to help with the hiding for when those light tanks rush in. If you just freeze, there's a lot of times where they'll go flying by you and they don't even see you. And it's amazing. You see them in chat where it's like, holy bleep, where that Arty was right there and I didn't even see them. That being said, as for the ammo, a lot of times with SPGs, they just use heat. They have very specific ammo. It's not like you get to choose, for this one, for example. Whoops, sorry, I went to the equipment instead. As you can see here, for this one, you have just heat. That's it. Again, for new players, I always recommend the small repair kit, the small first aid kit, and the manual fire extinguisher, just to save your credits. You're going to need those when you want to learn new tanks and buy them. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about here? I think that's really it, guys. I'm not really big on the Arty, so I don't have a lot of things to say about it, other than the fact that it is going to be here, so you might as well get used to playing with them and have fun. They are fun. I've done the campaigns with them before, and especially like I was saying before, the M44, the American one, I found it to be real fun. Once you start getting your crew skills up, you're hitting a lot of tanks and you're doing a lot of damage, and you're pissing a lot of people off. And sometimes that can actually be fun. You get personal messages later from a guy saying, "Damn you!" Anyways, guys, have fun out there. If there's any questions, if I didn't cover anything that you were wanting to know, just leave a question. I've been getting a lot of questions lately to the videos, and I really appreciate it. Again, if you like my videos, 2 thumbs up, or just 1 like, and hit the subscribe button if you want to follow me, and even ding the bell if you want to know when my videos go up. Again, thank you very much for watching the video. Have a great time out there playing World of Tanks. Cheers.